Alright, we're streaming now. This is my third time doing this because I'm just now learning how to like set up streaming, and so the last two times I didn't have audio. So I delete everything. So I might move fast and not explain much. Well, no, I'm just gonna explain it all. So uh, like I've been creating a VR system. I did experiments with the built-in XR spatial uh, menu system, and making tree nodes and stuff like that in VR for the VR headset. And so lessons learned from that. Now I'm going to create my 3D node system, which means I have to create a layout system. So it's a lot of boilerplate. It should be fun though. Like I've got a workflow and a way to do it, and like by the time I'm done with this project, probably like some kind of AI is just going to be able to do it for us, like by the end of the year. And but until then, like even if it misses one line of code, you would have been better off doing the whole thing yourself, or I would have been better off doing the whole thing myself, because if it does 2,000 lines of code, that it could take forever to learn how that code works. And well, if nothing else, this might be entertaining. I might, have a channel just I'm the idiot coder that keeps coding even though an AI could do it like a thousand times faster. Okay, so lessons learned so far is we want a base class that can do logging, and that applies to all of our classes. And that's the only thing I can think of that everything I've done has had in common. It was like a trick to it. So first, what we're gonna do is I like creating the folders from within VS Code. So we got nodes. Let's create um, ELN base folder, and then oh, in that we're gonna create DLN base.cs, and this is gonna be a mono behavior using Unity Engine, um, namespace DLN. The namespace is just like a path, so that's my namespace that I'm using, and it keeps things separate. Just a way of organizing things. Public class. What we're gonna call it? Oh, DLN base extends mono behavior. Mono behavior is a type of component. So all mono behaviors are components. Not all components are mono behaviors. And it's just gonna have, for now, first it's gonna have a boolean, so serialized field, um, private. It's gonna be private bool debug, and we can make it private and still change it, because we're gonna set it to false, usually false, because it serialized field allows us to change it in the editor without it being like from script. Uh, it'll be cluttered. Like every script will be cluttered with that option, and it's meaningless from another script to set debug. So that's kind of cool already with the Unity editor. Hopefully this works from a base class though. Okay, and then public class. Um, no, where did the class? So all we really want here is public void log, and the log is going to use a lambda. Actually, there's a trick here I learned from ChatGPT, that if you define it as a lambda, we'll just call it the lambda string, and so if debug, then we want to debug.log, and let's see, this dot name, so that's already useful when we call log. We'll get the name of the actual game object that's coming from, not just the name of the script, or the name of the class, right? And str, and since it's a lambda, we just execute it. And what that does is, if we're not in debug, so when the lambda comes in, it still hasn't allocated the memory for that string. And so if we're not in debug, we won't have a million string allocations doing nothing. I mean, that can really clutter the system. Strings take up more space than one would think. Okay, so we got that. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create, let me switch to here. So let's go to the hierarchy just to explain this real quick. So every game object, this is the hierarchy view. Every game object has, that's not a good example. Let's just say XR origin has control 2. I think that allows me to draw. No, wrong one. Wait. I want to be able to draw on the screen. Oh, I don't have that pulled up. What's it called again? Zoom it. I think it's zoom it. Zoom it. This allows me to draw real quick on the screen. Make sure it's running. Draw. And it's drawing there. Good. So we got drawing. So each of these are a component. These are all mono behaviors actually. I don't know what that one is. But what we want is in our layout system, we want like one component that has a list of like layout components and executes an update function on them. So we don't have to keep doing it over and over. And so if we, for any function, if we put context menu, like a context menu tag over it, then we'll be able to execute it from the context menu here. So we should be able to call update on our updater, and it has a list of components that have an update function in them, and that way we could rapidly test our layout functions, and we can change the order real quick of which functions are being executed when. So in order to do that, let's get rid of that. I don't know why that's there. Okay, in order to do that, let's create, well, we're making a layout system. That's not going to be in the base classes though. So we're going to create a layout system. I really hope the audio is working because this will be the third time I do it. The only thing I can think to do is stop right here and just test it. I don't have a Jamie. So I almost think it would be worth doing that. Unless I have like, can I get a lifeline? Like, I don't know. Okay, what if I do this? What if I see if I get an echo from the link? Hold on. So we got live. Your live streams will show up here. We are casting, right? Stop stream. Yeah, should be streaming. Let's refresh this. Do we get an echo? It's gonna be like doop, doop, doop. Stop stream. Yeah, should be streaming. Yes, we have audio. Is it loud enough? Do we get an echo? It's gonna be like doop, doop, doop. It does not seem loud enough. Yeah, should be streaming. Yes, we have audio. Is it loud enough? So I have to talk really loud. All right. Bear with me. We get an echo. Well, thanks for bearing with me. It does not seem loud enough. I'm learning as I go here. Okay, so we have that. Yes, we have audio. Is it loud enough? Oh, let's get that to stop. So I have to talk really loud. Cool. That lets me practice talking really loud. What were we doing? Right, so we need a layout folder. Create a folder called, oh, lost it. Create a folder called layout. Layout. No, we don't want it under DLN base. We want it here. It should be called layout. And in there, we're going to have an updatable base. And this is going to be an abstract class. It'll function as an interface, but you can't have interfaces in Unity and be able to use them as components. But you can use base classes for you know, polymorphism with components, but no interfaces. And so this is just going to have one function called update using Unity Engine. Probably don't even need Unity Engine on this one. Yeah, we do, because it needs to extend mono behavior. So namespace DLN and public class updatable base extends mono behavior. And mono behavior is a type of component. All mono behaviors are components, not all components are mono behaviors. And we want public abstract void update with no body. And that's just the contract that says anything that is an updatable base, you can call update on it. And then from there, what we want is our first updatable is going to be something that takes a list of updatables and calls each one. So, it does need to extend mono behavior, but we're using DLN base, which also extends mono behavior. DLN base. There we go. And so now we want another file. I gotta talk loud because it didn't sound like the microphone was very loud. And this is gonna be called updater. Updater. Let's see, yes. And so using Unity Engine, you almost always need the Unity Engine namespace, and we're gonna need using system.collections.generic, and let's make sure our logger is using system. See, now that we have AI, like basic things that you would usually spend time setting up in the editor, I've already lost that habit, and now I just don't want to use AI for now, while we got some flow going on, and I don't feel like messing with, you can mess with an IDE all day getting it set up. Right. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Alright, so we got the updater, and we got namespace DLN and public class updater extends update. We're gonna make that also part of updatable base. That way you could string together multiple updaters which have lists of updatables. And so we're going to say public override void update. But before that we need a list, and that's also going to be a serialized field. And again, serialized field just allows us to define it as private and still modify it in the editor. Private list of updatable base equals update base. Okay. New list of updatable base. I gotta speak up. New list updatable base. Oh, right. So updatables. I mean, this will apply it to more than just layout stuff, but I'm just for now putting it in the layout system. And then for update on this one, this is the updater. So what I'm gonna do here is make it, before I forget, is make it updatable in the context, in the menu system. Menu, and we can call this whatever we want. I just like doing it like that so we know it's a function that we can call. And this, we're gonna log. I mean, autocomplete is like just messing me up here. We're gonna log updating updatables. That's the log function we just defined in the base class. And then we're just going to go through every update double in updatables. And since we know it's a list of update base, we know we can call the function. I'm sorry if I'm over explaining this, but just think like, yeah, trying to make this entertaining for someone who, like, even if you didn't code. Okay, so updatables, so updatable dot updates. And from here, I think this should be enough to test it. I believe so. So we're gonna go to we're just gonna go refresh. We gotta call refresh, and it might take a second to compile. Did it compile that fast? Can't have. Did we get no errors this time? I guess not. Layout. Okay. So for our layout system, I'm just gonna create a separate folder. Create prefabs. This is another lesson learned. Is it's just better to have like things grouped into like what the system's gonna be in, like, then your prefabs, your scripts, and everything else in that folder. And you know, if it's another system, then you just have those, also have those folders under that system. Okay, so create folder, and it's going to be prefabs, and our prefab. Okay, we're going to create an empty game object. This is going to be updater test. And we don't even need that to be in the editor. Oh wait, we want it to be on the prefabs though. And delete updater test. And let's go to there. Now we get the error message. That's funny. Okay, updatable base.update is abstract, but it is contained in non-abstract type. Updatable base. Oh, I didn't define the class as abstract. Updatable base, public, abstract class, updatable base. Why did it tell me it was fine? Okay, here we go. The type of namespace mono behaviors. Okay, I misspelled that. It was in DLN base 6. So we got DLN base 6. Hopefully my computer is not shut down before we finish this. Okay, DLN base. Refresh. Usually you get a few errors. Cannot convert from string to system function string. Oh, right, so I have to pass that in as a lambda in updater. So when we, in our updater log, so that's a lambda, and I explained it already, but I'll explain it again. The reason why we're using a lambda there, like passing in a function, is so that if here's our deal in base. If debug is not set to true, it won't even allocate that string, create it, or anything, so long as it's in that lambda. So until that lambda is called, it doesn't create the string. So if the boolean is not true, the function never gets called, nothing gets allocated. Which, that can take up a lot of memory. I think I just explained that though. Okay. So I'd rather over-explain than under-explain. Refresh. Compiling scripts. While it's compiling, maybe I could practice drawing a little bit here. Right. So I have my keyboard. It's like Lotus keyboards. It go like my keyboard goes whoop. So sometimes I have to look under it. Keeps my posture okay. Oh, there we go. So entertainment while we're compiling. I'm gonna figure out a way to be entertaining while we compile. So maybe draw a picture. I'm just learning this. So this is, it allows me to give an overlay. So you press like Control 2, and you can change the colors. Blue, red, green. Do I have violet? That would be cool. Purple? Oh, I got purple. Indigo? No. Yellow. Do I have yellow? Yep, I got yellow. It's still reloading domain. In fact, okay, good. Right. So in prefabs we have updated test. So this is like a game object that would be in the scene, but we're testing. So this our the whole point of what we're building right now just allows us to test as a prefab, and like we're gonna have it rebuild the layout. It's just gonna be a procedural layout instead of like stateful. Hopefully. So here we go. Right. So we're gonna add updater. Updater. So add updater. We want it in debug so we can see what we're doing. And since the only updatable we have right now is the updater, then let's add another. Let's add. So we want to add another component called updater and assign it. And so now we should get two of them saying, "Hey, I'm updating," because the top one, we'll call the one that I just assigned there. So let's make sure we have. There we go. So we call update. Oh, let's pull up the console so we can see it. So general console. Console and update. Yes. So it worked. We've got updater test, updating updatables. So what we'll do is so we'll have layout updatable, like column updatables, row updatables, things like this, and then we could rearrange them. Like layout systems are kind of complicated, so it'd be nice to be able to get an idea of how our functions are working. And so since I've filmed this 3 times already, I'm just gonna quit while I'm ahead, and see how it went. Still learning how to do this. All right.